And I want to give a warm welcome again to Stephen Johnson, who is here with us today to speak on behalf of POPA. There are important collaborations that this body engages in. Part of our consultation and collaboration with stakeholders in the Sheriff's Department involves the deputies and officers of law enforcement themselves. And we're looking to talk today about a pathway forward in that collaboration. And I want to thank Steve again for joining us today with some insights about POPA. Please welcome to the Civilian Oversight Commission, Steve, and please proceed with your remarks and with any questions you might have for us.
Thank you, Chair. So, first of all, good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Johnson. I'm a lieutenant on the LA County Sheriff's Department. I have the privilege of being our union's full release president, and I was also known as POPA, when you say Los Angeles County Sheriff's Professional Peace Officers Association. When I say POPA, that's what I mean. So we represent nearly 9,000 members in our union, and it's with gratitude I'm here to speak today, and I appreciate you having me here today. As the first president of our organization to address this commission, I approach this opportunity with humility, but also with purpose. I recognize the significance of your mission, ensuring accountability within the LA County Sheriff's Department, and that mission at its core is one we share. To the chair, Hans Johnson, congratulations on your new role. We look forward to your leadership, what it will bring not only to this commission, but also to the broader county and the communities that we collectively serve. To Commissioner George Newhouse, recently appointed by Supervisor Barger, and to Commissioners Hicks, Giggins, Harris, Cooper, Callaway, and Garcia, thank you for your service and for allowing me the time to speak. Your positions are consequential. The public deserves accountability. Our members deserve fairness. My hope is that the Commission's work remains rooted in impartiality and not swayed by political winds. I'm here today not on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, but solely on behalf of our membership. Our mission is clear: to protect, to support, to elevate the professional interest of peace officers and allied staff throughout the county. POPA has been doing that work since 1951. I stand before you both as a union leader and a collaborator, someone who believes that while we may differ on strategy, we share common goals: safer communities, stronger trust, and a sheriff's department that reflects the best interests of the public. On the central purposes of the commission to give voice to legitimate public concerns regarding transparency and accountability in policing. So let me state clearly, we hear your concerns. I'll repeat that. We hear your concerns, and in many ways we share them. Across the nation and here in Los Angeles, citizens have grown wary of government systems that too often appear driven by politics rather than principle. Oversight bodies exist to guard against the erosion of trust, but they themselves must hold the same standards that they demand of law enforcement. In 2020, voters passed Measure R, which we're all familiar with, expanding the authority of this commission and the OIG. That decision reflects a public desire for stronger oversight, and we get that. Yet it also created new tensions. We recognize oversight as a necessity, but we insist that it operate within the boundaries of the law, fairness, and collective bargaining process. The Myers-Milius-Brown Act requires that recognized labor organizations like POPA be consulted when new policies alter working conditions. Unfortunately, there have been many instances where subpoenas were issued to our members without this legally required process. POPA challenged those actions in court and prevailed. The principle at stake was simple: even oversight must abide by due process. This is not about resisting scrutiny. It's about ensuring that scrutiny is conducted lawfully and responsibly. When subpoenas sought confidential information about members under investigation, we acted. We acted to protect our members' rights. When requests threatened to bypass established protections, we intervened. Our message is consistent. The legitimacy of oversight depends on its fairness. Just as our members are accountable to the law, so too must oversight entities be accountable for their methods. I raise these issues not as criticisms, but as reminders. Impartiality must guide every step of your work if you are to maintain the trust of the public. Due process is the cornerstone of our legal system, and it must remain central to this commission's work. Without it, accountability becomes politicized and justice becomes selective. This commission, since its inception in 2016, has faced many challenges of new leadership transitions, procedural disputes, which we've all witnessed, and many dysfunctions. And none of this is particularly unusual for a new body, which I consider you. POPA itself has faced many similar growing pains over the many decades of union leadership. But oversight dysfunctions carry a very unique cost. It risks undermining both officer morale and public trust. Recently, POPA was awarded legal fees as a result of oversight overreach. That outcome should serve as a cautionary tale. Litigation between unions, oversight bodies, and the county consumes resources that should instead be used towards public safety. Consider also this issue of so-called law enforcement gangs. Millions of taxpayer dollars have been spent on inquiries into these allegations, yet despite the headlines and the costly investigations, not a single criminal prosecution of a sheriff's department employee for gang-related conduct has emerged. To date, the evidence has not justified the scale of the effort. Importantly, the Sheriff's Department already has enacted robust policies, explicitly policies prohibiting law enforcement gangs and hate groups in compliance with state law. That policy includes definitions, protections, and accountability mechanisms. POPA participated in meet and confer processes that shaped it. That is how reform should happen, through dialogue, through negotiation, and lawful implementation. When this commission issued a survey recently to county residents about their quote-unquote contacts with law enforcement gangs, you bypassed the department, you bypassed POPA. That choice undermined your credibility. Had you consulted with us, we could have provided you expertise to make the survey more accurate, more impactful. Instead, the result was a tool that did little to advance the conversation. Oversight should never circumvent due process. If you want fairness, we ask only that you demonstrate fairness in return. There's a misconception on our department about accountability, so let me be clear. The department already has numerous internal accountability systems in place, and our union does not oppose them. I personally served for 3 years as a sergeant at the Internal Affairs Bureau. I reviewed cases ranging from use of force incidents to deputy-involved shootings. The investigations were detailed, comprehensive, and rigorous. Contrary to the narratives often advanced, I never ever encountered evidence resembling organized gang activity within our department. Beyond internal investigations, the department has implemented multiple tools for oversight. The rollout of body-worn cameras, for example, provides an additional layer of transparency. Just last week, POPA concluded negotiations on the custody division's body-worn camera policy. Now, I want to be honest with y'all, the process was grueling, it was long, and it was at many times contentious, but it was ultimately very productive. Similarly, last year, we negotiated the department's updated force policy. The process demonstrated the value of collaboration. The county, the department, and POPA each brought unique perspectives, and the final product reflected balance. These policies were not handed down unilaterally. They were shaped through negotiation and through dialogue, the very principles that build legitimacy. Oversight must recognize that accountability is not limited to external bodies. The department already has layers of checks, chain of command reviews, force board reviews, internal affairs, civilian litigation, and many other resources. POPA members are held to standards every single day. If this commission wishes to strengthen accountability, we encourage you to begin by understanding what already exists. Oversight that builds on existing systems is effective. Oversight that ignores them risks redundancy, it risks confusion, and also mistrust. The goal should be to complement, not to compete. True accountability requires us to recognize that internal mechanisms and external oversight are not adversaries, but they're actually partners. Oversight is not only about policies and investigation, it must also consider the lived realities of those who served. For example, our members. Our members are facing working conditions that are increasingly unsustainable. Recruitment and retention remain in crisis, and a recent national survey by the Police Executive Research Forum revealed modest improvements in staffing levels across the country, but large agencies, especially here on the West Coast, continue to struggle. And the sheriff's department is approaching a vacancy rate at roughly 25%. That number is not only a statistic, but it's also a threat to public safety. The demands on those who serve are immense. Mandatory overtime, extended shifts, constant exposure to trauma from trauma have increased to strained morale and contributed to growing concerns about mental health and wellness for our members. Meanwhile, other agencies are aggressively recruiting our personnel. Torrance, for example, is offering bonuses of up to $100,000 for lateral hires. Smaller agencies are using retention incentives to lure away experienced deputies. These offers are hard to ignore when our members feel undervalued. Hope has been negotiating with the county for over a year to improve wages and working conditions. We have presented nearly 20 substantive proposals, yet the county's counteroffers thus far do not reflect the gravity of what exists, the crisis that exists. Morale suffers when sacrifices go unrecognized. I think we all understand that. This commission must understand the connection between working conditions and public safety. Overstretched deputies cannot serve their best. Fatigued investigators cannot give the cases the attention they deserve, and communities ultimately feel the effects. Oversight should therefore be mindful of the human element. Criticism without support deepens frustration. Balanced accountability acknowledges both the challenges and the sacrifices of those behind the badge. Words carry weight. They carry a significant weight, just as the fact of a mere word in a definition. So your choice of word and your voices can actually erode the morale that exists within our department amongst our members. So let's help restore that. So just to close, Chairman Johnson, members of the public, thank you again for the opportunity to speak. I stand before you here today not only as the president of POPA, but as someone who has devoted my entire life to public service. I've served my country in the military in uniform. I've served the county as a law enforcement officer, and now I serve my colleagues as their elected representative. That perspective has taught me a single simple truth. Real progress comes not from conflict, but from collaboration. Our nearly 9,000 members, sworn and professional alike, wake up every day committed to protecting the people of Los Angeles County. They do not seek praise, they seek fairness. And oversight has a role to play in that equation, but so does support. When done right, oversight strengthens trust, but it must be impartial and respectful of due process, mindful of the sacrifices our members make. It must be guided not by political optics, but by principle. We ask this commission to join us in building models of oversight that protect investigative integrity while respecting the rights of employees. We ask you to consult with us and not to bypass us when creating policies that affect our members. And we ask you to balance scrutiny with solutions. Despite differences in approach, we share common goals: safer communities, accountable institutions, and respect for civil liberties. Let us work together to achieve this. POPA stands ready to engage in good faith. We will continue to defend the rights of our members, but we will equally be committed to meaningful collaboration. The people of Los Angeles County deserve nothing less. So I thank you for the time. With that being said, I'll yield the remainder. I know there's limited time, but I'll yield the remainder of my time for any questions from the commission, and I thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Johnson. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Callaway.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, That was a lot of information, but I would like to know so that then I can ask a question. Has there been a time that you felt, I'm a new commissioner, by the way, so I don't have I know you said it's a young commission. I am also a young commissioner. Has there been a time where y'all officially told a member when the commission actually followed due process? Because I'm pretty sure that there has been a time that we use due process. Has there been a time that you actually officially said out loud to your member to follow the directions that were given to them? If it was a subpoena, if it was an issue, that the commission actually followed due process and asked for a thing that the POPA, is that the correct pronunciation?
Yes, POPA. Right.
That POPA released an official response telling that member to follow directions. Has there been any time that that's happened?
Yeah. I'm not, I respect the depth of your question. I'm not sure I understand completely, but I'll do my best to answer it. And I just wanted to first of all state that as a new commission, I hope that you all, I know that I've seen you do jail tours. I hope that you've all done ride-alongs. And I hope that you recognize what our members are up against. I mean, 120 hours of overtime. I mean, can any of you imagine working that and trying to do the job to the best of your capacity? So when I talk about, I know you're talking, I'm going to get to your question, but when you talk about our members, that's just I just want to preface that with having a deeper understanding of what they're actually going through.
I would
Yes,
like
I just wanted to preface that.
Yep. I have a very good understanding that I was a part of the Air Force where we had mandatory.
Thank you for your service.
There was no, it's not an overtime thing. It's just work until the work's done.
Right. And I myself, I served 12 years as an officer in the Air Force. And so we didn't have unions in the Air Force. Yep. So I mean, and I love POPA and I love fighting for our members. But to get to your question, and I'll answer it as best I can, I'm going to have to give you a 10,000 foot level only for the sheer fact that we have 3 actual actively being litigated cases, unfair labor practices that we filed against the OIG, which may involve this body, maybe not. So I have to be careful about how I answer that question. But let me leave you with this. If you are to subpoena our members, we definitely will fight for their procedural rights, their due processes with lie barter, all the rights under the Peace Officers Bill of Rights that they're accorded. And so I think that's probably the only way I could answer that question fairly in respect for our pending litigation.
Copy.
Any other questions? Commissioner Giggins.
I really appreciate you being here.
Thank
I've
you.
been here almost 9.5 years, and I think this is the first time that we've had a visit from someone from POPA. So that's a good sign. You've outlined a lot of definitions of what you see oversight to be. And those of us who've been here a while, we had instructions from the original where we all actually swore on the Constitution to abide by the Constitution in our jobs here as oversight commissioners. And I just want to remind you that the first 4 years of the work that we tried to do, the leadership of LASD opposed us at every turn, rejected oversight at every turn. So half of our existence has been a struggle to actually do the job that we were all appointed to do, and why this commission was created. And like some of I appreciate the loftiness of your definitions, and I do appreciate the challenges of the morale of the department. Absolutely. I think we all have over the years. It's a tough job, and it seems to always get tougher because life seems to get tougher and more violent. And we need our law enforcement agencies to protect the community, follow the law, but also somehow connect and not be disconnected. And I think one of the things that this commission has done was we listened to the community, and people came here and we went out into the community, and a lot of what we were told was the department doesn't listen to the community. So I just wanted to add that to your perspective, you know, that some of us been at this a long, you've been at your career for a really long time. And as you say, you are a dedicated public servant, as we are. And it's challenging. And nobody wants somebody looking over their shoulder when they're doing their job. I mean, we all have to accept that. That is right there a problem. It is uncomfortable. It's sensitive. It's in the way. It's in the way often about how folks do their jobs. And this is not just all of our jobs. You know, nobody wants somebody looking over their shoulder. But we have, I believe, been successful in bringing the issues that many, many communities and individual families to the sunshine of really bringing light to what these experiences are, which were largely ignored in many ways. Not everybody in the department, but largely ignored, you know. So, I mean, we have a long way to go for oversight to be collaborative. That would be great. I'm a collaborator myself. I love to partner in solving problems. You know, I spent my life doing that, right? But I just wanted to bring in this other element that while you have your duty to protect your employees, absolutely, right? But we have a duty to talk to your employees, oversight those employees. Another thing is we also know that every time somebody gets a subpoena, the first thing they try to do is squash it. Anybody would. But it's, you know, we don't go the subpoena route we do it to investigate. You know, not to even imply guilt at all, hopefully not, but to investigate, you know. So collaboration really does take a lot more openness than any of us have been able to do up until now. But I think that those doors are open. But so I'm so glad you're here. I'm really glad you came.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you for the real talk, Commissioner Giggins. Anyone else? Any other commissioner? Oh, thank you. Commissioner Harris.
Yeah, and thank you very much for being here today. We really do appreciate your being here and your comments. I'll just say that I think many of the concerns that your members have and that you have, particularly when it comes to subpoenas, would all mostly go away if we had access to confidential information. So we could actually look at these investigations and confirm what you are telling us, that they're done completely, honestly, every stone unturned, and that we can rely upon the Sheriff's Department's representations that they are good. We want to believe that, but we have a hard time doing that when we don't have access to the same information that you do. Is consistently blocked from us. So there are some things afoot right now to hopefully change that. We're hoping that it'll be discussed later on today. The 3.79 of the county code will be modified. 847, AB 847, hopefully will be signed by the governor. We hope that you will join with us in seeing that those things do occur and that we can then have access to those documents, not so we can put, and I want to make sure we're all clear on this. We don't want to put your members' personal information out in public. That is not the point. But this body needs to have the ability to look at confidential information in a closed session so we can really know what's going on. We do want to protect your members' rights, their privacy rights. We totally understand that, and We agree with you. But we can't do our job if we can't see the same documents you're seeing in the department, those confidential documents, so that we can then make a value judgment and either agree with your position or say, maybe there's some areas here that need some improvement, to which I would think your members would all want the best possible investigations possible to be conducted when it concerns them. So I really do appreciate you coming here today. Your comments are, we hear you loud and clear, and I hope you hear us too. We do want to work with all parties involved. You are part of the constituency, as is the public. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you again.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. And I, again, want to echo my appreciation for you having me here and reaching out in the process of getting here. And I said, I am the first president of our union to address this body in the limited amount of years that you've been here. And just also piggyback on Commissioner Giggins' statement is that, we all want, I think what the elephant is in the room is that we all want the same thing, which is accountability, transparency, right? We all want that. The way to get that is to echo her statements is through the collaborative process. But I temper that with the fact that we do have to do it by law, right? We have the MMBA, and there's legal processes in place to do this, such as meeting with the union, conferring, talking these things out. Maybe side conversations. So there's a lot of work to do, and at the end of the day, we have to defend our members, and you have to defend your roles as well. But I think a lot can be accomplished through the collaborative process, and I think this might be the start of that. I hopefully, and yes. But thank you, sir, for your acknowledgement.
Chair Johnson, could I say something?
Yes. Before we move to public comments, yes, Max, the floor is yours.
I just want to say thank you for coming. I think it's a marvelous thing, and I wish that there'd been more interaction over the many years that we've had, and I hope in the future there's even more of it. I especially appreciate a lot of the detail that you discussed here, because of course OIG and POPA are litigating some of the issues you talked about, and I get that it's hard to talk about, but talking about talking about POBAR and talking about the rules about compelling testimony. I mean, these are critical things which we need to work out in court, and we're doing that. So I want to thank you for coming. I don't agree with all your comments about the potential gang issues and the way they're investigated, but that's getting into the weeds.
We can agree to disagree.
Exactly. And I'm not going to get into the weeds at this time because I really, honestly, am really excited you're here. To which I want to stand up for you for a bit with Commissioner Callaway's question about, well, hey, has POPA ever told their people, hey, it's appropriate to go talk? And I've been working with POPA over the years, and I think the answer is yes. I think POPA gives good advice to their members, and it is about protecting the members' rights. Of course, it's a different goal than the Sheriff's Department has or than this body has. But I found it to be largely rational in terms of the way there's been an interaction. And there have been times that people who are POPA members have come and spoken. Yeah, there's been a lot of bumps, and particularly under at certain times, the Sheriff's Department has been very resistant and aggressively so. But POPA has dealt with the realities and the issues that we've heard talked about here. We totally disagree about what the law says. POBAR on its face doesn't apply to the COC or the OIG, but a court may extend it. We're going to find out. And Liebarger is about when you're compelled, it can't be used against you criminally. Court's going to talk about that. And that's the rational and due process way to do it. So I'm a big fan of that. But POBAR, I think, has been a good partner in all that. And in the past, even though unions, of course, represent the individual peace officer, and if the peace officer is being told to change their behavior, that it's not compliant with law, they don't like that. As Patty said, it's not pleasant for any human being, but it's especially a challenging thing for peace officers to control their behavior in a way that is different than it's been done before. So I just want to say, I think the answer, even though you couldn't get into the weeds, I think the answer really is yes.
Thank you.